Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to this public meeting of the Princeton Board of Education. The board is an elected, unpaid group of 10 citizens who set policy and make decisions on educational, financial, and personnel matters for the Princeton Public Schools on behalf of all residents. We are always pleased when members of the community attend our meetings. The board and the school district operate under applicable New Jersey laws and under regulations of the New Jersey State Board of Education. Each meeting includes an opportunity for those attending to comment on items on the published agenda or other matters of interest to them. The board reserves the right to limit the time allotted to public participation. Law limits discussion of individual personnel and confidential matters. We hope our meetings provide useful opportunities for communication between the board and the community. Thank you for attending.
As required under the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 1046 et sequentia, adequate notice was given for calling this meeting. It was authorized by the Board of Education and forwarded to the municipal clerk, Princeton Packet, and the Trenton Times on January 9th, 2025. It was also distributed to the schools and others on the standard distribution list. The board reserves the right to go into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. Board Policy 168, recording devices, requires that we inform those attending this in-person meeting that proceedings are being recorded. This meeting is being live streamed. The representative of the sending district is authorized to vote on such matters that affect sending district students or affect the governance of the Princeton Public Schools, as more specifically designated in NJSA 18A38.1. Sending district votes pertaining to personnel actions refer to high school, central administrative, and district-wide staff only. Votes otherwise are considered abstentions. In the event the statute is amended, the law should take precedence over this bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Would you please call the roll?
Sure. Daphne Kendall.
Here.
Beth Barron.
Here.
Adam Bierman.
Present.
Debbie Braunfeld.
Here.
Mara Franceschi.
Here.
Eleanor Hubbard.
Here.
Susan Cantor.
Here.
Ari Mizell.
Here.
Chris Santarpio.
Here.
Catherine Lara.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Can I get a motion, please, for the adoption of the minutes for January 7th, 2025?
So moved.
Ari, second. Mara?
Daphne Kendall.
Yes.
Beth Barron.
Yes.
Adam Bierman.
Yes.
Debbie Braunfeld.
Yes.
Mara Franceschi.
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard.
Yes.
Susan Cantor.
Yes.
Ari Mizell.
Yes.
Chris Santarpio.
Yes.
Catherine Lara.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for the adoption of the minutes for January 8th, 2025? Chris, second. Beth?
Daphne Kendall.
Yes.
Beth Barron.
Yes.
Adam Bierman.
Yes.
Debbie Braunfeld.
Yes.
Mara Franceschi.
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard.
Yes.
Susan Cantor.
Yes.
Ari Mizell.
Yes.
Chris Santarpio.
Yes.
Catherine Lara.
Not sure if I was present at that one.
I was thinking no.
No,
but
I don't think so either.
Wait, the 8th was where we appointed Mike. You were
Oh,
here.
so I was here. Yes.
Okay. You convinced me.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight in the very, very cold weather. We appreciate it. Happy New Year. We want to welcome our newest board members again, Ari, Chris, and Catherine Lara from Cranberry. Welcome. We're so excited to have you here. So right now, the next thing up is a presentation from Max from Riverside. Hello, Max.
Hello, everyone.
And you're going to tell us what that presentation's about.
Yes, and I have two co-presenters who will
Okay.
be joining me.
And if you could
Okay.
tell us just their first names, that'd be great.
That's all.
You're going to do that.
We're gonna do
Okay,
that.
great.
We rehearsed a little bit.
Great.
We're gonna, good evening, everyone. My name is Max Octel. I am principal of Riverside School. It's my second year in the district. Happy to be here. And I'm going to have my co-presenters introduce themselves.
I'm Alex Bansel. I've been here at Riverside since kindergarten, and I'm in Mrs. Tolchewski's 5th grade class.
I'm Violet Sprouse. I've also been in Riverside since kindergarten, and I am in Miss Champong's 5th grade class.
Thank you. And we're going to talk about social and emotional support initiatives and programs this year at Riverside School. Okay. So I wanted to start with this goal because this is an elementary goal across the board that by this spring, we wanted to increase the percentage of students who feel there's a trusted adult that they can turn to or go to for help in each of our buildings. That is one of those elementary goal across the board, but that also is, I wanted to present that to as I go into programming so that you can hear.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I wanted to present that goal because as you can see, a lot of the programming we're going to talk about will reflect back to that goal. Okay, so, all right. Okay, starting off with our morning meeting. Every morning we have morning meeting. All of the students do with their teachers in every classroom, and it's focused on creating a caring and respectful community and helping students feel valued and heard. I also, as principal, visit every morning meeting, every morning, as long as there's not a meeting going on or something else going on. I pop in, say hello, and just sometimes I join, sometimes I'm only there for a moment, but I like to start the day to say good morning to every room. With that being said, I'd like to my co-presenters to talk about what their thoughts about morning meeting are.
So every day in my classroom, we have an activity that we do around the class, from a 1-minute mingle to any game you could imagine. And it's really fun. It helps us start off the morning on a high note and gets everybody pumped up for the school day. We also, once a week, a group or a student will make a slide presentation or a poster and lead the morning meeting, teaching the class about anything they want or just making up games so we can have a fun time.
Our morning meeting, we just play a bunch of fun games to let you be a community, from silly ones where you put antlers on you. It's called Moose. And there's a skill game where you toss beanbags around to each other. We just try to, doesn't matter if you're this person or that person, just be part of the community.
Okay. All right. We also are supporting our upstander values. Throughout the school, we have signs of positivity that Riverside students and staff are respectful, responsible, safe, and positive. So there's an example of some of the signs that we do have spread out throughout the community. Just positive reinforcement, respect way, positivity lane, all of these different things. But we do take them seriously, and we try to live by those values. So. Mr. Samara, our counselor, who cannot be here this evening, he does his classroom lessons he rotates each week. He goes to different rooms, and some examples of things he talks to students about are growth mindset, teamwork and cooperation, think it through, assertiveness, character strengths, and identifying and handling emotions at the K-5 level. So, let you share some of your experiences.
So probably one of my favorite lessons that we do is called Think It Through. So it starts with what happens and then goes to thought, which is the main part of this. So it can either go negatively or positively. Let's say me and Violet are in a fight, and my thought can be, Violet is so annoying. My feeling can be anger, and we could start maybe a physical fight or get into worse trouble that we would regret. Or I could have a thought like, how exactly does Violet think, her perspective from this? Maybe like a feeling of empathy, and I could try to keep the situation better.
And one of my favorites that we did in 3rd grade is called the character strengths. And as you can see up there with all those colorful dots, that worksheet, we are handed that out, and we get to pick a couple of character strengths that we think we have in ourselves and that reflect on us. And I just use this every day. It's such a great way to see the good in me and other people. And it's also very fun to do with your class.
Mr. Samar also does lunch bunch style groups, and he tries to cycle through 2 to 3 times a year in small groups in his office to get to know the students a little bit better, designed to build comfort level with the counselor in the event there's a need, as well as to build social skills and reinforce classroom lessons. So he does a variety of different activities with the students. There's always a lot of banter, laughing, joy in that room when I walk by. I jumped in and played Jenga the other day. There it is. So you have cooperative picture making, some examples he does using AI. Should I or shouldn't I card games. Totika is a stacking game similar to Jenga, and activities about recognizing and describing feelings and emotions. So I'll let you both share about some of these activities.
So definitely the best part of this, in my opinion, is the cooperative AI, and it's just so fun to learn about compromising and stuff like that. Like, me and my friends made a pink blobfish riding a roller coaster drinking a pumpkin spice latte.
AI-generated photographs. So Mr. Samara is very big into AI in our building. So he uses AI with the students to talk about a variety of topics, and they create a picture, correct?
So like, I want it, like one person might want a goat and then another person might want this. So it teaches cooperation in a very fun way.
I totally agree with everything Alex said. It's such a fun way to teach kids this stuff. Me and my friends made a flying hippo wearing a tutu. It's just a really fun way to learn about this stuff.
Okay. So a new initiative this year at Riverside School is Mr. Samara got off the ground, and very proud of him for this, is we have a staff student mentorship program. So we have currently 25 students receiving a one-to-one mentorship with a staff member. So those staff members volunteered their time during lunch preps, planning periods, to spend time with a student who could use a little extra support, making sure every child feels a part of Riverside and as a trusted adult. So there I am with one of my mentees, and he's helping me feed the fish and clean my fish tank. So it's Jeremiah in 3rd grade. So it's been a great program, and we check in once a week with our mentees, and we connect, and we've done things from throw the football to some people do crocheting, some people do different things, but it's just the point of it is just to connect with someone in the building who might, like to have a little bit more support. So, okay. And then we have our student council. We have 25th graders who meet monthly with Mr. Samara, and I also stop by those meetings to help improve the school community. Subcommittees this year they're focusing on bathrooms, recess, playground, and lunch. These are the subcommittees of where the students said this is where we could use some TLC at Riverside. So I'll let our 5th graders take it away.
So the student council, like anyone can join. It doesn't matter what you want to exactly do, but one thing that it's not like kids say, I want a swimming pool, and then the teachers are like, what? So we asked for an easier way to line up to get our lunch quicker, and I'd say within 2 days that changed, and it's small stuff like that that makes it so much better, and the things that the student council do.
And I'm also in the student council. I just think that even in a big group, I feel that I can tell people what I've been thinking about, and I feel heard. And I think that the student council in small groups and big groups, it's just a great way to share great ideas. And it's a great way to have students to be involved in changes in their school. So I think it's just an amazing thing to be able to share your ideas.
I just have to ask, what was your recommendation for the bathrooms?
I think you could use an extra paint job.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted flowers. I'm just very interested.
Very diplomatic answer.
Yeah.
And I can say this, when I had my discussions also, some of these ideas that they had, I took as well from some of our discussions and some improvements we can do. So from the students. So I do appreciate the student council. Okay. Some other examples of things we do throughout the year. We had a gratitude challenge in November. It spilled over into January. Students and staff could fill out the gratitude slips for each other. More than 200 gratitude slips were filled out, and it goes along that theme with the Grinch's heart that grows quite large, and students and faculty would just fill out gratitude, and we'd put it on the board, and you would thank someone in the building. Coming up next week is our kindness challenge, the week of January 27th, and Mr. Samara has a array of wide variety of things students can do during that week of kindness. So that the students, it's usually a pretty fun week. So, all right. And lastly, Mr. Samara and I we go into classrooms. We went into classrooms in September. We're going back in February to touch base with each morning meeting, and it takes either 18 homerooms at Riverside. So it does take a while, but it's important. We come in for the morning and we talk about what's going well, what things, kind of hitting reset in January, what things we can work on as a grade level or as a class to make our school a safer and kinder place. So that's been very successful. And I enjoy that too, because I get into all the rooms to get to meet the students and get to connect with them a little bit better. That being said, any final thoughts from our students?
After being at Riverside for 6 years, I just feel like every year I've had many people to talk to, from our substitute to my teacher that year. I feel like every teacher tries very hard for us to learn things and make it a very fun class.
And I've been at Riverside for 6 years as well. I can tell, and even though we have the mentorship program, I can tell that every teacher at Riverside works so hard to make sure every student feels welcome and feels that they have a trusted adult. And I can see that every teacher makes it fun and tries to see the student's point of view, which is so amazing that they can realize stuff like that. Yes.
And that is our presentation, and we have a picture. Mr. Samara is up there with us. That was with River Bear, our mascot in our foyer. That's the four of us. So, but I would like to thank you for having us present this evening.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Aptow, and Violet and Alex. Thank you very much. You're doing great work. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Y'all dressing for success.
All right. I will turn it over to you now, Dr. Foster.
Thank you. Good evening. And thank you again, all the families of Riverside.
There it goes.
So I'm going to start every year. The New Jersey School Boards Association identifies January as School Board Recognition Month. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to share a bit about the roles and responsibilities of our 10 unpaid citizens, while taking the time to express our deep gratitude to our board members for their service to our students and to the Princeton community. The Board of Education guarantees that the school district remains accountable to the community by ensuring that students receive a superior education while maintaining fiscal prudence and efficiency. The Board of Education acts as a single entity. So some fun facts. According to a survey conducted by the National School Boards Association, board members spend between 11 and 50 hours a month on board-related duties. Now, I don't think that includes superintendent search, so you might want to double that for that as well. Princeton board members are actively engaged on a variety of committees, including policy, student achievement, operations, personnel, long-term planning, equity, and negotiations. So based on my experience, I can tell you that each of our board members devotes countless hours to volunteer service every week. Much of this time is dedicated to reading policies, reviewing curriculum, evaluating various documents related to budget, facilities, transportation, and personnel, just to name a few. Each of the 10 members whom you elected offers a wealth of expertise and experience from their professional arena. Many members have or have had children in our schools. So did you know that a few of our board members are educators? Others served for many years in the field of finance and business. We also have an accountant, 2 attorneys, an author, and an entrepreneur. Because each member brings unique insight and personal perspective, the whole board engages in robust and healthy debate while wrestling with complex issues, weighing consequences, and making thoughtful decisions for the district. As one who has been part of very difficult deliberations at times, I can say with complete confidence that each of our board members is committed to putting our students first. It's an honor and privilege to work with each of our 10 board members. Thank you, Daphne, Susan, Debbie, Beth, Mara, Adam, Eleanor, and our newest members, Chris, Ari, and Catherine. Thank you for your willingness to spend countless volunteer hours to serve the 3,897 students of Princeton, New Jersey. Thank you for bringing your passion, intellect, insight, and resources to the table, for listening as well as speaking, for raising questions, wondering, and challenging your fellow board members and me. This important back and forth enables us to make strong and well-reasoned decisions for the sake of our children and the Princeton community. We appreciate your abiding service, your loyalty, your leadership, and your guidance. Thank you for always putting our kids first. So, congratulations. I also want to highlight something that hopefully everyone has heard by now. It is a week away, our January 28th, 2025 a facilities bond referendum. Voting will take place next Tuesday. We have been so grateful for all of the opportunities to share the details of our referendum in the many in-person and online forums these past few months. We are always willing to talk more, so if you have any questions before the vote, please reach out to us because we're happy to come to you in any form that you would like. But we also want to just say it's time for our community to make a plan to vote. We're going to share on the website what that looks like. We are tracking weather, so please make a plan to vote because it looks like there are a few snowflakes on the horizon, either upcoming on a Sunday or Monday of next week. So we want to just highlight first, Matt. I don't know if you want to walk through. So I'm right behind it, but can move over to.
So the on the 28th, the 4 locations, and there's a great little app. I don't know, some of you have tried it because certain members, I know some of our board members who live in the Littlebrook zone who would usually vote at Littlebrook are voting here at Valley Road. Suzanne Patterson Center on Monument Drive, Hook and Ladder on Harrison, Johnson Education Center over by Johnson Park across the street, and then the Valley Road, which has 7 districts voting here. I don't want to give people.
I have a question.
Did you check yours?
So
Excellent.
I'm voting here, and I tried to do the mail-in ballot, but I forgot because you need a stamp. I mean, who has a stamp?
You do need a stamp.
Yeah.
Put it in the box. Just put it
No, you wanted to do a vote by mail application,
Yes,
right?
application.
the application.
Yeah. But anyway.
Which that
so-
date has passed, had
I
to
know.
be in today by 3.
Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to vote here at Valley Road, but if, and I was looking, it looks like it could snow Monday. So let's just say there's no school Tuesday. Would Valley Road be open?
What was the question?
If it snows.
If
If it
because
snows,
we're all
Well, how much
because
is it going
we're-
to snow?
Well, so I think what we would do is maybe hypothetically.
I would say over
so
under 6 inches. But the elections are hard to close. So.
The elections would be hard to close. The Board of Elections would make that final
Okay.
determination. However, that's why we're asking to make a plan to vote.
Mhm.
Also, those that maybe got the mail-in ballots in December and then put it away and then can't find it now, you can do a provisional vote in person at one of those polling sites. And if you notice, there is no school voting site, and so we are working on making sure that other elections this will continue. So
And that's great, and that's why I was asking. So really, it's not the school's call.
Correct.
thank you.
I think we'll be okay, though.
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah. Sorry for the hypothetical.
No, that's good. Okay, and then are we going into the semi-annual?
The audit discussion?
Mhm.
Or
Great.
the-
Thank you, Dr. Foster.
Mhm.
So I wanted to talk really quickly about the audit. So we have every year we have our auditor come to operations committee. They're the most familiar with our financial reports. Just real quick, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but we get our annual external audit. They have to be done by CPAs, registered with the state. So Nisavachi and company just completed their 3rd audit, and the audit partner came and presented some financial highlights, which I've attached to the agenda. There's also a resolution that the board has to accept the audit. Not that there's a whole lot of choice. It was a pretty good year. Financial, I'll just go really quickly. We've seen a lot of downside to the inflation, but we did benefit from significant interest earnings on invested proceeds from referendums and also from the operating investments. So that helped, but that's not recurring revenue. So it's kind of a, 1-2 year thing. We don't know how long. Obviously, if inflation sticks with us, it's counterbalanced by higher expenses. So it's, but this year turned out okay, mostly because of those excess in revenues over expenditures because of the interest earnings. There were no findings this year, but I don't like to pat myself on the back or my team or anyone here because there are so many compliance things. No. There are so many compliance things that an audit firm, would have to spend, thousands of hours to audit all the compliance issues that regulate school districts. We all know they're all shaking their heads. So it was a good year, but yeah, and that was pretty much it. Like I said, I don't know if the committee members had anything to add from the presentation. We spent about 25 minutes discussing the audit.
Yeah, I was going to add that we spent like 25 minutes in closed session. We had a very robust discussion with the auditor, but I think that committee members came away impressed with how Matt's team performed and a couple of minor suggestions that the auditors gave that Matt is going to take under advisement. But it was probably one of the smoother years we've had in terms of hearing the response from the audit team.
Great
Thank
job,
you.
Matt. Thank you.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Next up is G Governance Semi-Annual Student Safety Data Report.
So twice a year, we have to publicly report out on our student safety data. And you can see the different categories once. There we go. And I want to just clarify, I think the agenda was published on Friday and there was an error. So this is the accurate, updated, just make sure this is the right one. The delta is wrong. Yeah, the delta is wrong for that. But so we will, this will be an ongoing updated. This is accurate because the numbers were in the wrong places. So at first glance, it looks like you can see that there was an increase, and there was, in certain student data that includes violence. Violence it is defined as it could be a fight between students. It could be a threat. So there are various definitions for that. Out of the 15, most of them took place at the middle school. Now, you may be concerned about that, but honestly, across the board, if we compare to other districts in the county and across the state and across the nation, this makes sense because middle school students struggle more with self-regulation. And we know the prefrontal cortex takes a little bit of time to develop with all of our students. But we also know that the impulsivity and self-regulation is a challenge for middle school students. So it is a learning process. We are a learning organization. And I just want to commend the administration for continuing to work with students to educate in how to resolve conflict. I will also say about our middle school team and our high school team is that anything that is reported, they will investigate. So, sometimes the increase in cases could be that they've investigated everything that was reported. So it's really important to think about a few of those things. What else do I want to highlight? Also, I think, we are working, as I said, next month. He couldn't come this month because he's doing the program of studies, but our supervisor of counseling, school counseling, John McMichael, will come and talk about some of the preventions. What are the ways that we can prevent some of these issues from happening to reduce some of our suspensions, reduce our harassment, intimidation, and bullying events. And so he'll talk about that and also some professional development for our staff, because we know that with everything, it takes a village, and every person, Max talked about all the important adults in that Riverside community, and you can hear the way students spoke so articulately about how to resolve, think it through. Those all are help us reduce these incidents. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Foster. So other incidents leading to removal, is that expulsion? Is that what that one is?
That is expulsion.
Okay,
yeah.
so we have not had in a few years now any really serious issue that
Correct.
led to the removal of a child. I think also what would be interesting is I believe enrollment has gone up over the
Yes.
years.
Mhm.
It went down during the pandemic and then it's been coming back up. So that probably also has something to do with increased numbers.
Mhm.
But that'd be maybe Mr. McMichael can share that with us when he comes next month.
I'll add that
Thank
to
you.
our
Yep.
discussion. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay. And now moving on to the highlight of the evening, the student board members report with Maya and Nikolai.
Hello,
Hello.
that's loud. We wanted to start by saying we're so excited to see new faces here. I've gotten the chance to come say hi to each of y'all individually, but it's always very exciting. And I remember, I think it was last week, Dr. LaSousa had came into the high school to say hi and take a tour. And what he said to me was that his vision for the Princeton Public Schools wasn't necessarily entirely focused on adding that extra point to our test scores, but rather creating an environment where every student feels like they have a trusted adult, and then they become confident in themselves no matter where they end up. And I thought that was such a beautiful sentiment. So I just want to share that. I'm very excited about that. Today, Princeton High School got up early. We had
What happened?
the HVAC had a leak.
HVAC?
You know what that had me thinking about?
No, what?
There was this crazy thing happening in like a week, and it's a referendum where we can fix that. So I don't know if I'm allowed to tell anyone how to vote, but we're definitely gonna get on intercom and hopefully find our way into Miss Burge's email. Tell the seniors that this vote's coming up, and if you like the school not smell like
I don't
paint.
know. Then you wouldn't have had early dismissal. So
Exactly.
you
Well,
gotta sell it.
we can. Early dismissal is the good thing,
Mhm.
and then the school smelling like paint is the downside.
But also, some of the classrooms were freezing. Like my English
Yeah.
classroom, it was probably 10 below. Like, it
We
was
all wear
so
coats.
cold. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be talking to them about that.
All right.
And then another thing was I was asking my little brother Hugo. He's in 4th grade at Riverside. I said, Hugo, what are they doing well, and what do they need to do better? His first thought was that he says the government law that we have to have vegetables with lunch is bogus. So do what you can with that. But he said there's new swings on the playground. He's a very big fan of those. So I thought y'all would like it. There it is.
And that's also, you have a very strong PTO over there. So definitely, Mr. Bolden can take some of the credit, but tell Hugo, thank the PTO.
I'll let him know.
Yeah, let him know. And the vegetables, 10 years from now, he's going to want to
Oh,
be eating those
he needs
vegetables.
them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing that we wanted to talk about is so we brought up the idea of academic integrity a few meetings ago, actually. And so we've been working with Ms. Burge on that ever since. And one new thing that we thought was important to highlight is that we've recently started piloting, I think it's called AI Zero or Chad Zero. That's it. Actually, we talked about it today in English also. But so that's being piloted in some classrooms. So I thought that was exciting to share. And hopefully that will also be an important step towards improving or maintaining academic integrity. So some of the main points that we wanted to focus on was like discouraging an atmosphere of like open cheating, and also discouraging like the high academic stress that might that cheating might come from. And so a few things that we talked to Ms. Burge about was like possibly having like workshops. So like having more support for students. Like I know like last year when I was taking AP chemistry, my teacher on her homepage, the first thing you saw was like resources for like meditation and breathing exercises, which I thought was really helpful because it was very stressful. It was a very stressful class.
I'll just add here.
Mhm.
I was told today by a freshman that they don't get like a free period. And I get that because they're not always doing what they ought to be during free periods. But I think the more we can build in time for them to have chances to go one-on-one talk with teachers, I know that helped me a lot in my first years of high school, trying to, keep up with the coursework. And so I think the more we can build in opportunity for that, the better.
Mm-hmm. And I think also like having more like education, being more knowledgeable about ethics and about like the seriousness of cheating is really important. So we thought like possibly running like an ethics workshop would be really would be really cool. Like I don't know if we can force students to take that, but I think just being more knowledgeable about that in general, like I know at least for me, like that helped me realize the magnitude of not cheating at all. Like, so I think that'd be really interesting to kind of work towards, especially for the coming like 2025 to 26 year. And like also having like more support from teachers. So like an emphasis on office hours and tiger time to make time for students who are struggling. Because I think that would also decrease likelihood. Which also brings me to my next point. We wanted to kind of talk about, we wanted to thank the counseling department and the administration for just having a bigger emphasis on meeting with students personally. So I got the opportunity to have a chat with my assistant principal, Mr. Johnson, early in the year. Like he set up with me. We just talked about, we didn't talk about like anything serious at all. It was just like a chat about my summer and like what goals I had, what colleges I was applying to. So I think it's really great. Like, and we see from the Riverside presentation also that like it's really great to have like the counselors and just people who are generally making bigger decisions being able to like meet face to face with students. So we just wanted to personally say that.
I don't actually know if we talked about this, but I had the same experience with Mr. Johnson, and he's trying to have a one-on-one meeting with every student.
Wow.
And I thought that was wonderful. And it's great because now I see him in the hallway. And it's like, hey.
Yeah, many other names.
And then lastly, we just want to share, as a student council, we know in the past years, there hasn't been much going on at the high schools in terms of what the student council is planning. I mean, we're always been doing stuff, but we're adding more events in this year. I remember early on, we were talking about kind of increasing school spirit and making sure kids feel connected to that as a community. And we think that these events are a great way to do it. So we're planning like a PHS Got Talent.
Oh, that's
Which will be great. So yeah,
so
fun things to come. But
Yeah, let us know.
Very
We'll hopefully
excited.
get that off the ground.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us know. We would like to come. Thank you. Next up is, J1 is the harassment. Oh, no. Public forum. Right now is our first public comment. So if there's anyone here who has anything to say, please come up to the podium. All right. There's no one. It's 10 degrees outside. Thank you for coming. We're not going to make you speak. Sorry, we don't have refreshments next time. We should have coffee or something. Yeah. All right. So there's no takers for public comment, but there'll be another shot. Moving on, J1, harassment, intimidation, bullying, and then K1, board committee reports. And we're going to start with long-term planning.
We didn't meet.
We didn't meet. All right. Love it. Operations.
Ditto to Kathy's comments about.
I'm gonna.
Operations.
We had an operation meeting on January 15th at 8 a.m. As always, we begin in open session. My co-chair, Beth, and I welcome back Adam and Mara, who served on the committee, and we also welcomed Ari, who will be joining us this calendar year on our committee. We had a very dense session, so I'm going to give our old a report a little like Brian used to give. So I apologize, but we'll go fast. But it was a very dense meeting. We had a lot of updates. So we began, as we always do, with updates on the referendum that are still outstanding. First was the 2022 referendum, and we went over the projects that will be worked on this summer. They include work on the elementary HVAC boilers, 75%, which is funded through a PS&G Energy Saver grant, and the balance through the referendum funds, and also the PMS perimeter heating control upgrades, which we awarded on December 17th. And lastly, we discussed the PMS HVAC work, which will be completed in the summer of 2026. We then reviewed the 2023 referendum, and we have many completed projects in that referendum already: the PHS cafeteria, the pool lighting, the JP cell repeater, access card upgrades, the 10 gig, and then we can have continuing work on the door hardware, PHS security upgrades, security camera upgrades, detention basin improvements, and phase 1 and 2 work, as mentioned earlier, on elementary playgrounds throughout the district. And we really would like to thank Matt and Dave for all the hard work they've been doing to get these upgrades to the elementary and middle schools. We then had a very lengthy discussion on the work that will be done this summer and is on our agenda today for the PHS track and field upgrades, and will be awarded tonight. And then, as we always do, we always have an update on the sustainable updates in our Princeton Public Schools. We discussed the energy saving challenge that we learned includes Valley Road and our schools.
And that's why it's so cold in here?
They really want that pizza here at Valley Road. And then we also very excitingly discussed the beginning as they look for energy consultants so we can begin the work of bringing solar panels to our district, which is, I know, something very exciting to all of us. As we discussed earlier in closed session, we went over the results of the audit. And again, as Matt doesn't want to pat himself on the back, we will pat him on the back because the auditors were very complimentary of the work that he's done throughout the district. So our next meeting is February 5th at 8 a.m. It is on Zoom and the public is welcome to attend.
All right, thanks, Susan. It's your first report without Brian, but you got to speed it up a little bit.
I don't know. We're doing so much work in the
I know.
district that it was.
No, it's great.
It was a 2-hour meeting. It was a very dense meeting, but really good.
All right, thank you, Susan. Next up is personnel with Debbie.
The Personnel Committee met on Friday, January 17th. The 2025 committee will be myself, Mara, Daphne, Beth, and Eleanor. And we look forward to working with everyone. We discussed the timeline of hiring a new director of student services, and we discussed a lot of other personnel matters. Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. See you like that.
So why can't I be more like Debbie?
No. You're perfect just the way you are. I'm just saying. All right. No more jokes. Moving on now to policy with Beth.
Policy Committee met on January 15th, welcoming new board members Ari and Chris, as well as Board Vice President Susan Cantor and member Mara Franceschi, who was sitting in for Eleanor Hubbard. Together with administrators, we reviewed the December policy alert from Strauss Esme, the outside service that provides periodic, mandatory, and recommended updates to the PPS policy manual. Several policies were recommended for first read and are on today's agenda, and I'm just going to go through those so everyone understands what's on the agenda. Procedural updates are proposed to comply with the 2023 changes to the form of uniform state memorandum of agreement between the schools and law enforcement, and these include policy 5512, which concerns HIB to conform parental notification requirements and procedures for pausing internal HIB reviews in cases where law enforcement is investigating. Policy in Reg 7441, they clarify that the law enforcement may be able to monitor school video live stream only during emergency situations. And Policy Reg 9320 to clarify the district point of contact tasked with receiving handle with care notifications from law enforcement when students have witnessed something traumatic outside of the school environment. Separately and unrelated to the MOA, Policy 5460 on high school graduation requirements is being updated to conform with the new law relating to the completion of financial aid applications, which may be waived. Policy 8500 on food services is being updated to reflect legal changes relating to terminology, the expansion of income eligibility to qualify for free lunch, and additional parental notifications. We note also that the annual board ethics training is scheduled for February 4th meeting. And the next policy committee meeting is scheduled for February 5th, 2025 at 2 p.m. and will be closed.
Thank you. And next up is Eleanor with SAC.
So the Student Achievement Committee met on January 10th at 10:30 a.m. With my co-chair, Debbie Braunfield, and also our new member, Chris Antarpio, and Susan Cantor and Daphne Kendall. We discussed 2 field trips, the upcoming Cantus field trip, that's like a one-day field trip this year, and the Princeton High School Orchestra trip to Europe that is planned for next year. And both are on the agenda for approval tonight. And then we went into closed session, and we also met again in closed session on Friday, January 17th, where we discuss the school calendar for 2024-25 and 2025-26. And our next meeting is scheduled for February 7th at 10:30 on Zoom, and members of the public are welcome to attend.
Thank you, Eleanor. And then last up, Debbie's going to give an update on the Equity Committee, which hasn't met yet, but you're going to.
Yes, so the Equity Committee will meet quarterly. Our first meeting will be March 10th at 6 p.m. here in Valley Road, and then we'll do Zoom, Valley Road, Zoom. I'm not sure of the subject yet. We're still kind of working on that, but we will share that the next meeting. But yes, love to have people and join us. And the committee is going to be myself, Adam, Eleanor, Daphna, and Ari. Thank you.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. All right, moving on now. L1, policies for the first reading that Beth mentioned, and they have to come back on for a second reading before they go into effect. Moving on to personnel, M1 retirement. We want to wish Senora Hayden a very healthy and long retirement. She will have completed 22 years in the district. So all the best to her. Moving on now, we have M2 resignation, M3 appointments, M4 personnel items, M5 leave of absence, M6 PREA salary guide movements. I always forget where I am. M7 6 period compensation, M8 curriculum and instruction, M9 student services, M10 substitute student placement, M11 PRESA aid certification stipend, M12 termination, M13 revised reappointments, appointments 24-25, N1 student overnight trips, and 2 student day field trips that Eleanor mentioned, and 3 is purchase of equipment, Apple. Moving on to student services, O1 Princeton Speech Language and Learning Center, then P1 the business annual school district audit that we discussed, P2 financial reports, P3 fire and evacuation drills, P4 turf and running track surfacing that Susan mentioned, P5 change order authorization, PMS doors and hardware replacement, P6 registration travel agenda. Now we move on to our second public comment.
Anyone?
No takers. I think this is, well, the first meeting in a long time that we haven't had public comment, but that's okay. You can email us if you want. And thank you for coming. We appreciate it. So now moving on to the consent vote. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mara, second Ari.
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Adam Bierman,
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld,
Yes.
Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Ari Mizell,
Yes.
Chris Santarpio,
Yes.
Catherine Lara.
Yes.
Consent agenda passes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bolden. And, you know, this, don't get used to these meetings being so short, but it's January. Just want to echo what Kathy said. Please make a plan to vote. It's going to be very cold for the foreseeable future. But please, however you're going to vote, please vote next Tuesday, January 28th. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn? Beth, second Eleanor. All in favor? All right. Thank you. Good night.